Competition evaluation. We've all heard the saying before, it's not whether you win or whether you lose, it's how you play the game. Well, what does that mean? What does that look like in concrete terms? You're finally going to find out. One of the ways we go over how you actually play the game, that we assess how well you do, is by going through a competition evaluation. Okay, so wins and losses are deceiving. Just because you win doesn't necessarily mean you performed well. Same thing with a loss. You could lose a competition and actually do really well. You know, you look at around a lot of your friends don't understand this, and even a lot of family members. If you win, people think you're great. If you lose, they think you stink. But I'm not that concerned with that. When we work with our athletes, we don't even ask if they win or if they lose or what they placed or what their record was, because it is that deceiving. We want to focus instead on the competition evaluation. Now, we recommend that you go through this after every time you compete, every single time, because this is going to help train your brain. It's going to train your mind to view competition differently, because otherwise it's easy to get sucked into that modern paradigm, that modern thought of wins, losses, records, placing, and all that nonsense. Let's start focusing on the competition evaluation. So what does that look like? We want to break down our performance into how well we're executing things that are within our control. So there's pre-competition and there's during competition. And you want to break it down that way. So for every sport, it's going to be a little bit different. But pre-competition, there's two things that any athlete of any sport is going to be doing. Number one, your warm-up, and number two, your pre-competition routine. As we said, your warm-up is something you're doing probably an hour before you go out there and compete. Your pre-competition routine is going to be what you're doing the 15 to 20 minutes right up until the few moments right before you compete. So those are two different things. You want to make sure, and you make this very simple, yes or no. This whole evaluation is yes or no. So did you have your pre-competition, did you do your warm-up? Yes or no? And do it the right way, which should all be planned out, yes or no. Then your pre-competition routine. Did you do this in its entirety the way it's supposed to be done? Yes or no? You don't want to go in between a little bit of this, a little bit of that, because then you're just going to make excuses. Yes or no? Keep it very simple. Also, you could include in this, did you have the pre-competition meal that you were supposed to have, or drinking enough fluids? Basically, so again, you know, it's all factors that are within your control. Whether you won, whether you lost, did you do it? Yes or no? Now you move into the competition. You could break the competition down into three different areas: your effort, your attitude, and your aggressiveness. So your effort, did you go 100%? Did you go all out? Were you taking chances? Were you competing to win, not competing to lose, right? And now we're not talking about focusing on winning or losing, but you were playing the game to win. You were going after it. You were making your own breaks out there. You were focused on your strategy. Yes or no? So you're going to have to break those down based on your sport. Did you do this? Yes or no? Your effort. Now your attitude. Did you stay positive the whole time? No arguing with the ref, right? You didn't argue over any kind of calls. After you made a mistake or after your opponent did something well, you stayed positive the whole time. You didn't get down on yourself at any point in time. So you're going to break down, what does attitude look like in your particular sport, in your situation? Did you do this? Yes or no? And then you move into aggressiveness. Now, aggressiveness, I understand, can kind of be grouped in with effort, but I like to make a new category for aggressiveness because it's such a critical piece. It's such a critical point of competition in our performance, and it's something we tend to forget about. So instead of effort, I talk about, are we going 100%? Aggressiveness is, are we taking chances? Are we getting after it? Are we playing to win, not to lose? Right? So what does it look like to be aggressive in your sport? It's going after your attacks, making the first move, making contact first, whatever it looks like. Were you aggressive in your sport? So again, breaking this all down into yes or no. Now, after the competition's over, you always, every single time, go through this competition evaluation and you check the yeses, check the nos, see where you're struggling with the most. Okay? In fact, one thing you could do after you make this competition evaluation right now is circle the areas that you know you need to work on most. What are your biggest problem areas that you struggle with? But after every competition, you're going to start to see the trend. You're going to start to see the pattern. Certain areas you're dropping the ball on a regular basis, and that's what you want to spend time on working on. So the idea is, instead of focusing on did I win, did I lose, what did I place, what was the outcome, instead you want to focus on answering yes to every one of these questions pre-competition and also during the competition. Effort, attitude, and aggressiveness. We could check off yes to every single box. And if you're checking off those yeses, I can tell you this, wins are right around the corner. If you're not winning right now, you will be winning in the future. But if you're checking off no to most of those categories, or even to some of those categories, even if you're winning now, there's going to be losses around the corner. So you have to totally reframe the way you're viewing competition. Different than everyone else around you, even different than a lot of the people you're closest with, different than some people on your team, and for a lot of you, different than your coaches. Focusing on doing all the things that are within my control, and then trusting that the rest is going to take care of itself. Checking yeses to those boxes. Your pre-competition, your competition evaluation, pre-competition and during the competition. Every single time, make sure you're going through with it, and you'll be a consistent performer.